code's the heart of the new planning system. It will replace 72 development plans with one statewide code. It will bring greater consistency to our development assessment system and will provide a set of rules that communities can understand and be part of creating.
At the moment it's a very paper-based manual system, so how the code looks and feels will be quite different.
It's really great to finally talk to professionals. We spent a good year working internally about understanding and learning from other jurisdictions, looking into the system we have now and what works and what doesn't work. And now we're at this really exciting time where we can actually start to write it and write it together, but based on evidence, not just diving in.
I think the challenge we have is around the interpretation of policy, and once we have some clarity around that, I think it'll be a lot easier as professionals to assess applications.
Certainly some of the key challenges I think in rolling out the code will be preparing policy content that's consistently worded and that is spatially applicable across multiple areas, which certainly have a local flair and a local flavour to themselves.
I think some of the issues that we're facing is that interface between the rural planning and the urban planning, and ensuring that the rural policies that we have will enable the rural sector to be able to deliver on what they need to do, have the changes that they need to make without the impacts of urban development on them.
I think they referred to some 72 development plans we've currently got in South Australia, and umpteen zones and a vast array of planning policy, and trying to synthesise that down to the planning policy that counts and really has impact for development assessment purposes.
I did put to the sector a couple of questions that I wanted them to think about when we start to draft the code together. One of those is, yes, it's an exercise in consolidation and making sure we take what's already working really well, but we rationalise it and consolidate it from 1,500 zones down to less than 100, but also not to make mistakes that we've made before. We've got a very layered system, it's 20 years old. We need to think about what we're doing. We need to ask the question, why are we regulating this and why do we need to? What kind of impacts is it going to have? What kind of provisions do we actually need? We have too much regulation in our system now, and we need to really think about what we're building policy for, because if you get policy right, you get great places.
Simplification and clarity are going to be some of the key things that will come out of it, and certainly the e-planning and the electronic assessment side of it and lodgement, I think, is all going to help to hopefully streamline the system.
The development plan has traditionally been a one-stop shop for that council area. I think the planning and design code will be a one-stop shop for development in South Australia.
Sometimes it's a bit of a negative and a blocker, and I think it should be seen as an enabler of good development in our state.
It will streamline a lot of planning decisions. It will make assessment a lot easier. There's a lot of complexity in the current system, and if done well, this will remove a lot of that and is a really a positive framework.
A great thing to be able to have that collective knowledge sitting around the table and willing and participating in working towards this ultimate objective of producing a new code.
A successful code is one that we've worked on together collaboratively, where there's no surprises for the sector and the community.